Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So today, pretty good. Pretty good for Bitcoin, pretty good for crypto, pretty good for U.S. markets. But tonight I want to talk about Bitcoin's dark history and why history is repeating. Does that mean we should be concerned? Well, let's discuss. So smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com. And make sure you follow brand new CryptosRUs Clips channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you guys are doing good today. Bitcoin was close to 22,000, like 21.8 or 21.8. Now it's a little bit lower, 20,400, but we are above 20,000 right now. Overall today was a pretty good day. You know, U.S. markets, you could see NASDAQ up almost 300, Dow plus 640, pre-markets a little bit red, and that's because we do have some more testimony coming from none other than Fed Chair Powell. So I do think people are still waiting to see what happens. I'll get to that in a little bit, but overall crypto market cap is holding strong. There's a little bit of recovery today, obviously, with Bitcoin's boost. There are many altcoins going up. In fact, Bitcoin dominance fell actually pretty significantly from about 43.5 or 0.6% down 43.2%. So it definitely shows a lot of holders are DCAing right now, picking up on cheap crypto. But what is happening tomorrow? Unfortunately, whenever Powell talks, never seems like good things follow. So tomorrow, Fed Chair Powell is going to be testifying in front of the Senate Banking Committee. Okay, so that's tomorrow. Then in front of the House Financial Services Committee. Now, I don't think there's anything new that's going to come from these testimonies, right? He's basically going to restate what he has said before. And of course, we had a big reversal in terms of his initial plans of just raising interest rates by 50 basis points, and now it's like somehow we just jumped to 75 basis point is okay, right? So I don't know if anything new is going to be discussed, but I do think if you look at his prior testimonies or prior conferences, anytime he talks, it doesn't seem like the market reacts well. I don't recall within the last year or so any time where he went on and talked about anything about the economy or inflation or anything relevant, the markets rallied, right? So I guess we just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow, right? It seems like almost every week he is talking about something at this point, right? But, you know, overall, what is he talking about? Inflation, and many people are still wondering whether or not we're going into recession and how badly, right? And we have Cleveland Fed president that believes that there's no way that we're going to fall to that 2% target or 2 to 3% target that Fed Chair Powell wants, right? So be ready for that. We're just going to have to live through higher inflation for a couple years. She thinks at least 2 years, but it could be much longer than that, right? So, of course, this is still on everyone's minds right now, right? And I did see this. Sales of existing homes in May fell more than expected, right? So obviously inflation, economy, not getting any better anytime soon, right? Things are slowing down. That's what Powell wants, right? But is it going to bring down the economy, or is it going to bring down inflation without bringing down the economy? That is what everyone's waiting for, right? So I want to start with that. Now, what about this Bitcoin's, history or dark history, right? I'm going to do a 180 on you guys. There's so many fudsters out there, so many people that like to spread mystery, right? So I like to bring up Bitcoin's dark history. And what is that? Well, take a look. Since 2012 till now, right? This is Bitcoin's history. If you are a naysayer, if you are Peter Schiff, if you are anyone that does not believe in Bitcoin or crypto, right, this is the kind of data that you use to prove your point and to scare everyone into thinking that, well, Bitcoin has fallen this much, so it's done. It's going to fall more. And this goes back all the way, pretty much to the beginning. And you could see many periods where it has fallen 42%, 56%, 82%, 50%, 87%, 34%, right? 83%, 60%, 52%. This is Bitcoin's history. Yes, it is. Bitcoin is volatile. Bitcoin does like to go up very fast, and it also likes to come down very fast, right? This is the reality of Bitcoin. So if you've gotten in, invested, and you don't quite understand what's happening now, well, know that this is part of Bitcoin history. However, also understand that within the last decade, you look at some of the biggest companies out there and their growth. Anyone come close to Bitcoin's gains? The answer is no. No. Last 10 years, had you invested in $100 into these companies, Alibaba from China, Walmart, Berkshire Hathaway from, Warren Buffett, even Microsoft, Apple, Visa, Amazon, JP Morgan, the largest bank on earth, right? You would have made good gains. There's no doubt you would have made good gains, but nothing compares to Bitcoin. So, friendly reminder, this is part of Bitcoin's history. There are price crashes. There are corrections. It happens all the time, and it sucks when you're going through it. It really does suck. But the long-term holders will tell you that's when the money is made. When holders start DCing and buying, right, especially towards the bottom, that's how wealth is generated, right? And this is the reason why so many are sticking with Bitcoin. Because, yes, it's volatile, but it goes both ways. And those that have stayed in the game the longest have made the most. So I wanted to share with that. I'm going to turn it around on the fudsters, the ones that are calling, again, Bitcoin's death. If you look at Peter Schiff's tweets, they're getting more and more negative, way more than negative than before, right? Claiming that Bitcoin is go down to zero, the past is not an indicator of the future, right? And there's no intrinsic value, and everyone is going to dump everything and get ready. Bitcoin is going to zero. He has been saying it for the last 10 years. Every time, every fall listed here, you go check out his tweets, ultra bearish and negative, and every time Bitcoin comes up stronger and makes a new high. So you tell me who's right? So just want to give you guys a friendly reminder of Bitcoin's dark past. All right, now, besides that, what else is going on? Well, I did see Michael Saylor. A lot of people are very critical of Michael Saylor, but he is moving forward, still doing a lot of interviews, right? And he talked about, he was asked about his prior statement back in 2021 about, hey, if you really believe in Bitcoin, you really want to save your business, or you want to save, your assets, maybe you should take a mortgage against against your house or business and buy Bitcoin with it. A lot of controversy, like too much risk, right? So I wanted to play this for you guys. I think he answered pretty well, right? So let's take a look real quick. Let's take a listen real quick, because I think this is important. All right, I set this up here. Let's do this.
And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business, it's in your family for 37 years, and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth, which is Bitcoin.
So there are people I respect who say you go too far with those kind of proclamations. What do you say?
Well, the critics always cherry pick and they beat up on you at certain times. But if we step back, the Argentine peso lost 99.5% of its value over 20 years. And the only way you could survive is by going into debt and converting into a different currency. That 30-year mortgage, you could get one for 275 basis points a year ago. Right now, it's 580 basis points. So telling someone to take a 30-year mortgage when you could get one for half the current price for the rest of their life isn't bad financial advice. It's a lost opportunity if you didn't get that cheap money. Long-term government subsidized debt's a reasonably good thing. If you step back and look at the big picture from first principles, look, Bitcoin's up 52% on average per year for the past 2 years. For the last 5 years, it's a 51% ARR. For the past 10 years, it's 124% ARR. And that's 10x better than NASDAQ over the past 2 years. So, there's no statues to critics. I think that the critics need to give people a solution to their problem. And I think if the inflation rate is higher than the interest rate, you would rather be a debtor than a creditor. And a person's just got to take a long view, look out over the decade, and ask themselves, how do I want to be positioned financially? And if you can do that, there are opportunities.
The bottom line, I always say, Mike.
I say he answered that pretty well. As for interest rates doubling, right? I think that's. I don't think he kind of knew that was happening, but it worked out that way. Still, maybe suggesting mortgaging your home to people that really can't afford it, maybe not the best advice, but I think Michael Saylor, of course, has the long-term strategy, right, in place. His long-term vision is to make sure he's holding on to something that will outperform anything else out there, and more importantly, right, beat inflation, which is at 8.6% right now. If you're not holding on to something that can outpace inflation, well, then you are seeing your money burn. Your buying power is decreasing, right? And that is what he's focused on. So he's ignoring the naysayers, although it's hard these days. There's so many out there, right? And he has a point that the naysayers will criticize, but has no solutions. But if you're Peter Schiff, I know your solution is to tell people to buy gold, even though gold has not moved for the last 12 years. So I don't know if that's a really good solution. But anyways, I did want to show you guys that Michael Saylor is still staying strong. And then, of course, there's so many holders, right? It seems like there's no holders anymore. No, there's plenty of holders, which is why even this morning, yesterday, last week, I've been showing graphs about addresses holding at least 0.1 Bitcoin, addresses holding at least 1 Bitcoin, and they keep going higher and keep forming new highs. Because there are a lot of people that are coming into the game right now, taking advantage of cheap sats. And if you're looking at some of these major models, there's a couple of them out there that has been used over the years to measure Bitcoin's oversold levels and measuring its bottom. So here's one that's NUPL, NUPL, which is unrealized profit and loss, basically measuring how much are in negatives or how much is in positive in terms of profits and losses, right? And right now we are as negative as the COVID crash of 2020, right? We're at that same level. Now, of course, 2018 and even going back to 2015, the negative losses or unrealized losses, I should say, is worse. But think about how bad it was in 2020 when Bitcoin was below 4,000 versus now, right? We are at that same point. So that's pretty amazing. This is one of the major models that is measuring how oversold Bitcoin is right now. And same thing, here's another one, the Mayer multiple, which is simply the price divided by the 200-day simple moving average, and the 200-day simple average, used by a lot of traders out there. But if you're looking at that and take a look at where we are now, again, kind of like NUPL, showing how oversold Bitcoin is. We are even more oversold in 2020, according to this. We're as oversold as 2015 and even going back further, 2011, 2012, when Bitcoin was below $10 at this point, right? So some of these models are showing, man, we are very, very, very oversold. Great time to be stacking sats. And whether or not, we are truly in recovery mode right now, or we're going to retest that 17K, or even if we go lower, which many people are forecasting right now, thinking that we'll have to go lower before we go up, which is nonsense in my opinion. But regardless of what happens, right, we are much closer to bottom than we are to top. That's for sure, because the top is unlimited, right? So stacking sats, DCing along the way. No one knows where things will go short term, but like Michael Saylor and many others in the space that has been, through some of these, adverse times, right? Well, I would say Michael Saylor haven't been through Bitcoin's adverse time for that long, but he has been an investor for quite some time, right? But there's many others that I can name, like, for example, Max Kaiser, who has been in it pretty much since the beginning. Da Vinci is another name that's been, someone that's been in it basically since $1, right? These guys, they lived through it all. And they are now pretty much billionaires because of it, right? You stack sats, you ignore the short-term volatility, you ignore the haters, you ignore the trolls, and you continue to do what you're doing, which is setting yourself up for financial freedom and life-changing wealth by stacking sats, right? It's really that simple. But right now, there's a lot of models and metrics that show this is a really good time to be doing so, right? So that is Bitcoin. That's what I want to lead off with Bitcoin. And then there's a few other news I want to talk about. Right now, of course, there's a lot of uncertainty around stablecoins and lending projects, right? And Tether is taking this serious. There's a lot of pressure right now on Tether to give a full audit of its reserves, right? Because obviously algorithmic stablecoins are not fully collateralized. There are some that are still saying they are, but ultimately, what about the ones that should be fully collateralized with reserves, like Tether, which is still the biggest stablecoin out there, right? So they have committed, they will take a full audit with the top 12 accounting firm. I don't know why they don't just go with the top 4, right? Because there's a big gap between the top 4 and everything else. But they will do this to improve transparency of their reserves. So according to their CTO, they have never, ever been depegged, and there's nothing to worry about. We'll see if that's true, and I don't think that's actually true. They have been depegged before. I have seen Tether go up over $1. I've seen Tether at like $1.03, and there was great arbitrage opportunities between Tether and USDC at that point. And I have seen it below at like 97 cents, 96 cents. So it has depegged before, but not to the extent of course, like what happened to the UST. But this is something that would be welcomed, of course. And if they could prove that they have full reserves, alleviates some concerns, right? So I think that's pretty positive. What else is going on? Well, right now, I don't know, a lot of you guys are paying attention, but NFT in NYC is happening. So there's this big event around NFTs, right? And there's a lot of news coming out about NFTs. Uniswap actually had a pretty good day today because they are buying NFT marketplace aggregator Genie to further universal ownership goals. So Uniswap, of course, is the biggest DEX out there. And now they are moving full speed forward into the NFT game. So they are getting involved. Also Solana. Solana has NFT marketplace Magic Eden, which closes a huge $130 million round, giving them a $1.6 billion valuation. Honestly, I've never heard of Magic Eden, so I don't know. A lot of you guys are on Solana trading NFTs, but they account for 90% of NFT trading volume on Solana. Now, recently there's been a lot of FUD about Solana, especially about SOLANA, which I've covered many, many times, but there are still a lot of people that's very antsy and worried about Solana due to the FUD about SOLANA, right? So there's still this one big whale that supposedly will get liquidated, right, at $22 for Solana. So unfortunately, the dev team did an unwise decision to create a DAO initiative to try to lock up and take away the account so that it can't get liquidated, right? Which was a bad decision. So they did another DAO vote or another vote to basically invalidate that first one, right? But still, there's so many people worried about that. It's a legitimate concern, but I do want to separate the fact that the Solana team themselves are not associated. Solend is a different team, so it's not like Solana themselves did this, and who knows who that big Solana whale is. We don't know at this point, right? There seems to be a lot of whales that are still, very heavily involved with DeFi projects, and when things are uncertain, there's a lot of FUD, right? But I'm glad to see some positive news about Solana, because recently it's just been like nothing but bad news about Solana. And speaking of NFTs, lastly, I just saw this. I don't know if anyone's cheering for this, but this is headline news on CNBC. Zuck shows the prototype headsets, right, for their metaverse play, because obviously Facebook is no longer called Facebook. It's called Meta. And they're supposed to be going all in on the metaverse. And of course, that has a lot to do with, crypto and some of the projects we're seeing right now. But you know what? He's losing $10 billion a year right now on his metaverse play. So I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work. But anyways, just thought I'd bring that up. And I don't know how this is different than Oculus, which he already purchased, right? I don't actually quite know. But man, look at that. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff he's working on. That's for sure. All right, guys. That's pretty much it. Now let's do some Q&A. Dad bod said, crypto winter has given me a bigger dad bod. Well, I don't know if that's something that you should be proud of, but yeah, I think it has given many of us that problem. Let's see. George, your thoughts on BlockFi getting funded by FTX? I covered that this morning. A lot of people fearful about lending companies and whether or not they should store their crypto on projects. So I would say this. I've worked with BlockFi for a long time. Obviously, they shut down their interest accounts by the SEC longer than everyone else. But they were one of the first ones to remove, kind of decrease their rates. And at that time, they lost a lot of support because of it, but I think they were just trying to be less risky. But regardless, I think they, like everyone else, like Voyager and anyone that's in the space of lending and providing interest, they're trying to prevent, a Celsius moment, a bank run moment. So I think they're doing what they can to get loans and secure loans and stuff like that in case the market gets worse, right? I think they're doing that right now. And I said this morning, it's very important right now, right, to safeguard your own crypto. I think regardless if you have your crypto on a lending project like BlockFi or Voyager or Gemini or Coinbase or any exchange out there, right, I think it's better to be safer right now and have majority of your crypto, if not all of it, on a hardware wallet or software wallet, a mobile wallet, a browser wallet, whatever wallet, some wallet that you control, just to be on the safe side, right? I think that's more important than anything. More important right now than any other time. What do you think, Geostone? What do you think about the Soul Vault that's going on? Do you think the future intervention, Geostone, I don't know if you're talking about Solana themselves voting or Solend or someone else. What other vote? I'm actually not sure which vote you're referring to, but I guess I'll have to look into it. I don't know. Someone said Magic Eden is big. I have never used that marketplace before. If any of you guys have, let me know how it is. I've seen other, I know Solana NFTs are now on OpenSea, right? And some exchanges also have Solana NFTs. I never used Magic Eden, though. American Shogun, welcome, new member. Let's see. What's going on with ADA? Nothing's going on. They're having a hard fork. I forgot the code name. Is it Vasil or something like that? Basically, they're going to implement multi-signature to their chain, which makes it more secure, right? But they're also working on, of course, scaling, implementing Hydra with multi-chain and so forth, right? So they're still progressing. I know Charles Hoskinson was asked to testify in front of the Agriculture and Housing Committee or something like that. So that could be good for Cardano. Someone said Cardano's fork delayed. Okay. I didn't know that. Didn't miss it. Future millionaire. I have Sol, Avalanche, Elrond on Voyager with no transfers. What should I do? Sell and buy back another platform. Yeah, unfortunately, one of the problems with Voyager is they offer a lot of crypto, but they don't offer withdrawals on all the crypto. So you do, if you want to get your crypto out, yeah, you do have to sell to something else that allows withdrawals. So yeah, if you want to get your money out, that's what you have to do. I see there's still there's a toss up between ADA lovers and ADA haters. There's always endless ADA haters right now. I guess there's really haters of everything. There's haters of Solana, haters of XRP, haters of Cardano, haters of Doge. I don't see a lot of haters about Polkadot or BNB. Any thoughts on Polkadot and Near? Well, I just got done talking about Polkadot. Near is kind of like a mini Solana, very, very backed by a lot of VCs. They're still very early stage though, not a whole lot of DeFi, but promising chain. So they had a good run in 2021. They're still relatively big at 25, so I think they're doing okay. I haven't heard much about them recently. As for Polkadot, I think right now Polkadot's really being carried by a few projects like Moonbeam, for example, right? There's still a lot more side chains to come. It's just I haven't heard of any big ones. I know Engine has their Efinity chain that's on there, right? That's really focused on NFTs and gaming. But Moonbeam is really bring EVM compatibility to Polkadot. That's a big thing. But outside of that, Polkadot, kind of hanging around at this point, and that's not such a bad thing. Theta or XRP? Ooh, I haven't heard anything about Theta recently. Ever since they launched their third coin, I'm like, that's a little bit too many. 2 is enough, but they have 3 now. But, as for... I still like their promise, decentralized video streaming platform, video content, like a CDN kind of almost. There's a lot that they can do. You can cache videos and streams and so forth. I mean, their technology is solid, right? And they do have Theta.tv. It's just not as widely used as, say, Twitch or, of course, YouTube. But it's a work in progress, and I like their potential, right? As for XRP is XRP. You got to wait for the SEC lawsuit to end before they reach their full potential. Let's just put it that way. Did I miss Taka Scaramucci's ETF being proposed tomorrow? No, I didn't bring that up because I don't think it's relevant. There's so many ETFs being submitted. right now, and he has submitted, I believe he submitted it before, right? I think none of them will pass. The one that has a shot is Grayscale's. I mean, Grayscale's trying to convert their trust into a Bitcoin ETF. They have the most Bitcoins by far, over 600,000. So if anyone has a true shot, it's Grayscale, right? For everyone else, I don't think SEC is even taking seriously. I think the only applicant that they're taking serious is Grayscale right now. So let's see what happens with that. Once that gets approved, then it opens a floodgate for everything else out there, right? David Schwartz is the CTO of Ripple, and he's the basic main guy behind the ledger. So yeah, and it's really irrelevant. What I do know about XRP is, well, I'm not gonna go on a rant. You know, I promised myself I'm not gonna go on a rant about XRP, so I'm not gonna do so. But I do have a video to show you guys at the end of the stream that kind of sums up what XRP is and what Ripple is. So stay tuned for that. Jeff Hammer, always appreciate your support, man. Smash it a like. Dumping XRP has been a bad decision of my life. Let's see. Let's see. What else is there? Was 17.5 bottom? I like to say it is, right? I think, well, I showed Purpose's Bitcoin spot ETF in Canada. Whoever that had a huge amount of shares dumped like half of it on Friday. So I think that had a lot to do with that big crash that we saw on Friday leading into Saturday and so forth, right? So that could have been it, but maybe not. Maybe we retouch it. Maybe we even go below. Although at this point, I just see it's very, very hard to go below that point. But you know what? It can happen. It can happen. Regardless, right? Does that change your strategy? Does that mean you have to wait and wait and wait for another low or for a bottom? How do you go get that confirmation? No one knows. This is the same thing back in 2020. Bitcoin fell down to 3,800. People were waiting, thinking that it was going to go to 1,000, right? So many called it. It has to hit 1,000 before it could recover, right? It has to go to this, has to go to that. It never did and recovered, right? No one knows truly until you're way past it. Then you kind of make that declaration, yeah, that was bottom, right? But the strategy stays the same. If you're going to be a long-term holder, regardless, you continue to DCA and hold on and have patience. We're much closer to bottom than we are to top. Let's just put it that way, right? Any thoughts on Cosmos chain? Well, interoperability, of course, is still a big focus. That's their big thing, to create a cosmos of chains. I think they were damaged quite a lot by Terra, because Terra was built with the Cosmos ecosystem, and they were getting fully involved with Cosmos and the DEX, like Osmosis, and they had a lot of liquidity within the system. So I think they were hurt a lot by that. But overall, I think, they're a promising chain, and they still have other projects within, other chains within, right? So I still like that. I still like it. Let's see. Going to try to be a whole coiner by next week. Well, congratulations. If you become a whole coiner, good job. Not many people can do that, right? A lot of hardworking people, even ones that are making six-figure plus, a lot of people don't have any extra cash or any savings to be able to buy and afford one Bitcoin. And if you get up to that point, right, that's a special moment. So congratulations. Let's see. why is everyone flooding ADA over SOL? I mean, right now, there's just so much FUD. Trust me, SOL gets a lot of FUD, too. I see it in live chat. There's a lot of people that's flooding SOL. There's a lot of people flooding Cardano. Seems like people like to FUD because they think it's going to protect their bag somehow. Just because you have a bag of Solana, you have to FUD Cardano to somehow protect your bags. And if you have a bag of Cardano, you got to, FUD Solana. It doesn't work that way. It never does, right? And I get how people are trying to defend their bags, but right now, spreading FUD, spreading misery, and attacking each other does not help anything. Right now, it's time to stay positive and focus on helping each other get through it, which is what I'm doing, right? But there's way too many haters right now, way too many people trying to spread misery because they are miserable. And I get it. Some people haven't seen what I showed you guys, which is this, right? But I lived through many of these crashes. A lot of people haven't, right? The best way is just kind of just stay calm, ignore the haters, and continue to stay in the game and educate if you can. But there are too many people that are, spreading their misery. So just think about that. The loudest trolls out there are the ones that are the most miserable. So that's the best way to think about it. If you can have compassion, though, that's really hard to do these days. Blockchain domain. Any tips on growing my channel? Right now I'm teaching futures and doing live high-risk trades. Well, you probably shouldn't be doing live high-risk trades. There are a lot of traders out there, a lot of channels that are doing trades. But here's the thing. If you are going to concentrate on that, don't be too cocky about it, because a lot of the traders I've seen, some are nice, but there's a lot of traders that act like they're never wrong. They lead their audience a certain way, and then everyone gets wrecked, right? So I would say just be humble about what you do. That's what I try to do, right? Be humble, be informative, be honest, right? Set expectations, and make sure that you're not just shilling, a Bybit link or whatever link, right? That will wreck a lot of people. So just be careful of that. Thoughts on Cadena? My thoughts on Cadena hasn't changed. I still think their technology is fantastic, great team, and waiting for them to come back. The Cardians. Cardians got their feelings hurt. I always thought a better name would just be the Kardashians. But anyways, I get how Cardano bag holders don't want to be called Kardashians. All right, guys, I'll let you guys go. Overall, this is Bitcoin's dark history, okay? And there's a lot of people out there, especially when things are bad, will tell you, hey, this is how Bitcoin is, how it's always going to be, and it's going to zero, right? It has happened before. No, not to zero, but it has fallen quite a lot from its previous highs. And sometimes it takes a long time before it recovers. But once it does, you'll gain from that, right? And within the last 10 years, nothing has come close to Bitcoin's performance. So yes, it has had a dark history, but also had a very bright history too. And that's the best way to look at it. All right? So stay strong, my friends. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early, 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right, have a good one, guys. Oh, by the way, I did say I have a very educational video about XRP, so take a look.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.